bring in CFPB Director Rohit Chopra. Good morning to you. Let's talk about this tax, if you will, that does exist across our economy in many ways in the credit card universe. And really, let me push back on this idea. And I appreciate that there's a 3% tax, sort of hidden tax on everything in many ways. But if, in fact, that fee were to go down to 1%, 1.5%, I don't know, whatever you think the number is, are you convinced that it actually goes back into Americans' pockets? Or in reality, does it go back into the pocket of the business owner? And maybe that's a good thing, too, in some kind of trickle-down scheme, but I don't know.
Well, I think regulators always are a little skeptical when there's not full competition, when all the prices are the same set across the different competitors. So look, we have Americans owing $1 trillion in credit card debt. They paid $130 billion in interest and fees last year. And of course, we hear retailers also saying they don't even know how much they're going to pay when a card is swiped, depending on if it's a credit card or a debit card or something else. So, we're really focused on making sure that consumers can switch, find lower rates. But of course, I think retailers are also asking for some of the same things.
Well, but that's a meaningful question. Is this being done on behalf of consumers, or is this being done on behalf of retail owners? Because, as you know, and by the way, there are small business owners as well. It's not all big boxes and massive companies. But nonetheless, I think there is a legitimate question to be asked about that.
Well, we regulate the consumer side, not the retail side. But look, if you look across the globe, you want to make sure that consumers are getting lower rates, retailers are getting lower rates, that banks and credit card issuers are fairly advertising the rewards and others they offer. So I really fall on the side of what can you do to create competition across the board. I have seen there's been ways the regulators have taken action on this. The FTC took action against MasterCard about blocking competition. The Federal Reserve is looking to modernize some of its interchange rules because, Andrew, the cost of processing a lot of these transactions has really fallen. And I think in some ways there has to be a way to keep up with the times.
But if we're going to start, if the government's going to get into the business of setting prices, what's a fair price? Because the other piece of it is, and let's just say let's stipulate one thing for the audience, because I sometimes think it gets missed in all of this. There is one great benefit to a credit card beyond the extension of credit and the like, which is that, if you have a purchase that where it's broken and needs to get returned, if your card gets stolen, there's a whole bunch of things where there's actual genuine protection in the card that actually doesn't seem built into the price but is.
Well, sure, and I think that's part of why I'm not sure price setting is the only thing. It's also about network competition, too. So many years ago, there was more requirements to allow multiple ways to process payments. We also now see new forms of payment entering the market, tap to pay that doesn't necessarily use a card, QR codes, other innovative technologies. And I think we don't want the incumbents blocking those new payment mechanisms from entering. So there are important ways we got to regulate, but we also want to make sure competition is there, both for the consumer and for the whole marketplace. There's not necessarily
okay, but Rohit, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Rohit. I mean this completely seriously. If Sorkin Enterprises decided to introduce a new credit card that had a much lower fee for consumers, but I offer no insurance product, meaning if your product is stolen or broken, I'm not going to help you return it. I'm also not going to, if you lose your credit card, I'm not going to help you on fraud. But I label it and I tell everybody this is what it is, but it's only going to cost you 1% or less. I kind of think, Rohit, that you're actually not going to like that either. I think you're going to tell me that that's like the airlines telling me that I actually have to pay extra to bring a bag on the plane.
Well, we want consumers to be able to choose. They can choose cash. They can choose other methods. But you don't want to create a system where you're basically trying to trick people into something or to arbitrage it. So, again, we're really focused on how consumer fees, interest, and by the way, most of this business model is based on charging interest on that $1 trillion of debt. And honestly, we do have a system where there is fair profits being made. But look, there's bipartisan interest in Congress about how to deal with this. They're going to probably keep debating it. But we in the regulators are going to look to make sure we're stopping abuses, anti-competitive conduct, and where people are subject to bait and switch. We see $500 million or more of rewards getting forfeited or devalued. And it's got to be more honest than that.